All right, let's take a little bit of a deep dive into day 5, April 22nd, of the Trump criminal trial. This is the first day of testimony, and it is the day of the Sandoval hearing. The Sandoval hearing is to determine exactly what questions and the limit and scope of the questions that are going to be asked of Donald Trump if he indeed takes the stand and follows through on his threats. Personally, I don't think he will. Personally, I don't think his lawyers want him to. But that includes February 16th, 2024, when he voluntarily misstated the values and the assets of basically everything he owns. October 28th, 2022, he failed to remove the post about the law clerk being in a relationship with Judge Engoron. He was fined $5,000 for that. On October 21, 2023, he intentionally violated another court order attacking the court clerk again, which resulted in a $10,000 fine. He's allowed to be asked about the E. Jean Carroll versus Donald Trump defamation case, Part 1. This was the first one that everything was, he was found guilty of rape and sexual assault in a civil hearing, and also fined $5 million he had to pay to Miss Carroll to get that taken care of. Then there was Carroll versus Trump Part 2. This is the one that he was fined $83.3 million for. He had to pay Miss Carroll. This is the one where the bond that was actually put through Chubb Life, that is now in question. And he's also able to be asked about the New York Attorney General versus the Donald J. Trump Foundation, where he repeatedly used and misused charitable funds for his own self-interest, like buying a $10,000 painting of himself to hang in his own golf course out of the charity funds. He, with that, was restricted from him, and his children are never allowed to work for or operate a charity for the rest of their lives. They are banned being on the board or have anything to do with any charitable organization ever. And just side note, this is also one of the things that was brought up with him and the charity. They will be able to ask him about taking money, hundreds of thousands of dollars from that children's cancer charity and things like that. Aside from that, that's all fair game. That's part of the Sandoval hearing. So now Donald J. Trump has to decide whether or not he's going to take the stand. Now, the important thing that happened today was the first witness was questioned. That is Mr. David Pecker. Everyone, I'm getting a big kick out of the news people who purposely just call him Pecker as they report on this. He was asked to establish right out of the gate, the opening statements establish right out of the gate in the prosecution's case that this was a three-pronged deliberate attempt to basically interfere with the election. That is what the criminal charge is all about. Paying off a porn star, paying hush money is not a crime. But doing these things and working in concert with the National Enquirer at ASI, Mr. David Pecker, Michael Cohen, who is also a witness in this trial, and Donald J. Trump. And both David Pecker and Michael Cohen testified. Well, Pecker did already. Cohen's on his way up. Now, one of the things Pecker actually confirmed was they met in Trump Tower, the three of them, Michael Cohen, David Pecker, and Donald J. Trump, discussing the plan to circumvent any negative stories that come in about Donald J. Trump while he was running for president. The plan they came up with is what you keep hearing, the catch and kill plan, which was, for instance, with Karen McDougal, the Playboy playmate that he also cheated on his wife with, went to the National Enquirer to basically speak her piece. The National Enquirer bought her story for $130,000. Made her sign a NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, and a exclusivity agreement, though they own the rights to the story. They paid their money. She's not allowed to tell any other media outlet her story, period. They buy the story, they make her sign the NDA, and then they never run the story. Hence, catch and kill. That is so negative information can't go out against a presidential candidate that looks bad running for office. Same story with Stormy Daniels. The fact that Michael Cohen served time for this crime negates any argument that it wasn't a crime to begin with. So right then and there, the MAGA arguments, the red hat arguments are out the window. So that is a big thing about what was part of this whole deal. And David Pecker also was established to be the one who makes final choices of what stories go on the cover and get put in the magazine, including stories that Donald J. Trump had not only editorial approval over, but sometimes concocted in his own mind, went to his friend Pecker, and he put him on the front page of the Inquirer. A story that comes to mind is establishing that is that Ted Cruz's dad helped kill JFK, that type of stuff. That's what Trump was also involved in with David Pecker. That was all established today, day one of testimony. There is no telling who's taking the stand tomorrow. I think Mr. Pecker is finished, but there are 20 witnesses. Now there are 19 left. Now, if you remember correctly on Friday, the Trump team was asked what witnesses taking the stand first, and the court basically told them, usually we would tell you, but because your client can't shut up and puts out personal information and threatens the jurors and the people involved in the trial, we are not giving you that information. Sorry. So technically, in theory, they had to get prepared for 20 witnesses. But because David Pecker is a Pecker and he's still friends with DJT, he kind of gave him the heads up. So they're still guessing on the roster of the next 19, which makes it a lot of fun for any attorneys. Usually preparation for a witness is a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Imagine doing prep for 19 witnesses and not having any idea of who's on the stand next. So every day you've got Donald J. Trump filling his diaper, stinking up the courtroom because he gets stressed out, and you've got lawyers with prepared questions and cross-examination for 19 potential witnesses. And it's a lottery of who they get to ask questions to next. So that's going to be fun to watch. The rest of this week, tomorrow, we've got the 2 hearings that Donald's really worried about. One of them actually gives Letitia James the potential opportunity to start seizing his properties. She's already filed the paperwork. There's nothing left to be done there. That's going to be decided tomorrow, as is the criminal contempt of court charges. I believe there are 11 of them so far. I don't know if they added any more over the last couple of days, but as of Sunday, there was 11 of them. That could land him in the holding cell for a little while. We don't know yet. So pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. Stay diligent, stay educated, be kind. We are all in this together, whether we like it or not. God bless.